Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, we are now less than 4 weeks to the opening of the Major League Baseball season, and I'm continuing my preview, if you will, on how I think these teams are going to be in the 2026 season. As I mentioned in prior podcasts and videos and in the newsletter, it's awfully difficult to predict, particularly baseball, because you just don't know. Injuries, pitching, how things are going to work out. There's so many variables, but that doesn't mean you can't prognosticate from the perspective, is a team going to be better? Is a team going to be worse? Is a team improved, etc.? So I think that's how I've been approaching this so far. We focused on the National League West and the American League West in the previous podcast. So let's take a look now at the American League Central and how I'm viewing the American League Central, beginning with the Detroit Tigers, who are a better team than last year. And remember, last year's team made it to the American League Division Series against the Seattle Mariners and lost in a thrilling series, and the Tigers could very well have gone all the way in 2025. They're better this year. They've made improvements. Their pitching is better. And I just think that the Detroit Tigers are going to be the team to beat. So are the Tigers better? Yes. Look, I knew they blew that big lead to the Cleveland Guardians when I made this pick. We know what happened last year, and the Guardians came on strong, but I think the Tigers are head and shoulders above any other team in the American League Central. So I believe they're going to be better than they were in 2025, led by Tariq Skubal. But their pitching is strong, and they've made other improvements pitching-wise, as we know, and without getting into the weeds, just trust me, the Detroit Tigers are going to be the team to beat. Cleveland Guardians, I know manager Vogt is an excellent manager, and he's done a superb job in his first 2 years in Cleveland, and the Guardians did come on strong and ended up winning the division over the Tigers, but then you saw what happened in the wild card series. So I think the Guardians are going to be They could be good. They might take a step back. Kansas City Royals, going to be better. Remember, the Royals didn't make the playoffs in 2025 after making the postseason in 2024. They've made some roster moves this year, which I believe are going to make them an even better team. So I look for the Kansas City Royals to be better. Minnesota Twins, they're in a rebuild. I know their manager is talking about we've got to turn this thing around and we've got to really bring the fans back. Well, you bring the fans back by winning. I don't think the Twins are there yet. Chicago White Sox, they are in a rebuild. They should be a better team than last year. They were a better team last year than they were the year before. That 2024 team was horrendous, but the White Sox did improve last year, and I think that improvement will continue. So again, the Tigers, I think they're the team to beat. Guardians, Kansas City Royals, better. They could be a playoff team in 2026. Minnesota Twins and Chicago White Sox, they are in rebuilds. That brings us to the National League Central. That's going to be an interesting race between the Cubs and the Brewers. And I think the Cubs are going to win out in the National League Central this year. They're a better team. Hey, with Alex Bregman on the team, how can they not be better? Yeah, I know they lost Kyle Tucker, but I believe that Kyle Tucker, although he was a big part of that Cubs team, will not be missed as much because of Alex Bregman. Bregman is just, I'm telling you, he brings so much to the table. And that could be the difference in that division. Milwaukee Brewers, I know they traded Freddie Peralta, and so maybe they take a step back. I don't know. Not with Pat Murphy as manager. Murphy's one whale of a manager, and so I'm looking for the Brewers to be a steady, contending team this year. Pittsburgh Pirates, definitely better. I mean, the Pirates are, I just think, on the cusp, and they've made some free agent signings, and they've got this young talent, and I think led by Paul Skeens, of course. And who knows, maybe Connor Griffin gets called up. But all I know is this. The Pirates, they're moving in the right direction. I think they're going to be a better team. Cincinnati Reds, I know Terry Francona did a superb job, got them to the playoffs in 2025. Maybe they make the playoffs again this year. But although the Reds have perhaps gotten a tad better, the rest of the division, except for the Cardinals, have even gotten better. And that's going to put the Reds in a bit of a bind. So I think the Cincinnati Reds are going to have their work cut out for them, even though they are managed by one of the best managers in the history of baseball. St. Louis Cardinals, they are definitely in a rebuild. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, Cubs, going to be better. And they were good last year, let's face it. Brewers, steady. I think Milwaukee's going to be a steady team. Pittsburgh Pirates, no question the Pirates are a better team in 2026. Cincinnati Reds, meh. And the St. Louis Cardinals are in a rebuild. So that's how I see it as far as the American League Central is concerned and the National League Central. We still have 2 more divisions to go, and in the next podcast, I'll focus on the American League East and the National League East. Meanwhile, we've got the World Baseball Classic to focus on, in addition to a lot of other sports news. That's going to do it for my Dan on Sports. As always, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And remember to subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that by going to danonsports.com. See you later.